How to gain that fluency from zero to fluent. The complete guidance to become fluent in English. How to gain that fluency. So, this is your way. These 5 steps are your way to become absolutely fluent in English if you follow all the 5 steps. Hello, everybody. How are you all? Hope you're doing great. So, welcome back to another session of learning English with me. In this session, in this lesson, we are going to focus on improving our English. Not only just speaking, but overall English skills. The complete English, basically. I'm getting a lot of requests that, sir, from where to start? Like, you can understand English, but speaking is difficult. You know you want to start that journey, but you are not able to find that particular path. So, basically, how to become fluent in English. How to get from zero to fluent. That is what we are going to discuss today. So, are you all ready for this? Before beginning, please subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the lessons that I post for you on this channel. Please like the video and share it with your friends too. Now, coming back to today's lesson, how to become from zero to fluent. If you are somewhere around zero, how to get to that level of fluency? Well, this is going to be helpful for everybody out there, whether you are at the intermediate level or just above the beginner level. This is going to be helpful for you. Now, let's begin. First of all, let's try to understand what is this zero level that we all are discussing. You think zero is basically nothing, but that's in your mind. You're not at zero. If you are at zero, that means you cannot understand English. If you can understand English, you're somewhere above that level. Consider yourself that you are at number 2 or number 3, right? We have to get to 10. 10 is fluent, right? And you are somewhere at number 2 or number 3. If you can understand English, that means you are able to listen to that particular language. You're listening to my video. That's a big deal. Listening and understanding a language is a big deal. Now, if I start speaking in Spanish, you will not be able to understand because you don't know that particular language. That means knowing a language counts. You have to take this into consideration that your half of the work is done. That is basically a base. Now, what we have to do is we have to take up this base of understanding a language, and we have to build fluency over this particular base. So, we'll be building the fluency over this base of understanding the language. There are going to be certain steps that I'm going to tell you, so let's begin. What is the step number 1 of becoming fluent in English language? Step number 1. Step number 1 of becoming fluent in English is survival English. So, if you're starting somewhere from a beginning level, then you have to focus on survival English. I think everybody must focus on survival English. That is a must if you want to become fluent in English. What is survival English? Basically, survival English is the component of spoken English. We never use survival English in written English because we need proper structures to write. But often when we are speaking English, we can miss out on the structures and just speak out the meaningful part of a sentence so that we can make the other person understand what we're trying to say. The other person can understand that particular thing. Now, imagine if you are in an English-speaking country, okay? Nobody understands your native language. You cannot form a proper sentence because you might not be so sure about the grammar structure and all that. What would you do? How would you try to speak something? You will speak some kind of broken language, right? You might speak certain words with meaning. For example, you're feeling hungry. You want to find a restaurant. What would you do? You would approach a native person. You might say, food, hungry, restaurant. These three words are making a connection in mind. As soon as I say food, hungry, restaurant, a person would be able to tell, okay, this person is feeling hungry and they want the direction to some restaurant. So they'll tell you, or they would drop you at a restaurant, or they would tell you the way to a restaurant, and there you can place an order. There, what you can do is you can call out just the names of the food items. You can say price, and the person would tell you the price, right? These words are meaningful words. They carry certain meanings, okay? They can be nouns, verbs, the meaningful words through which you can tell what you want to say to the other person. That's survival vocabulary. That is survival English. Your grammar structures like is, am, are, structures like does, do, did, have, had. These are not a part of survival English. Number survival English means the vocabulary, the words, the meaningful words that are needed for you to tell what you want to say, to get your message across. And if you're able to do that, that's your survival English, the basic English, the minimum English you must know in order to survive for one single day in an English-speaking country, in an English-speaking environment. That is your survival English. So, this survival English is very important because once you know the survival English, you gain confidence to speak English. Now, you can start speaking English. And when we are talking about speaking, now is the time to discuss step number 2. Step number 2 to become fluent in English. Step number 2 is to start speaking from day 1. Start speaking from day 1. This is something that I've discussed with you again and again throughout my videos. I have a dedicated video on this particular thing that is, start speaking from day 1. Start speaking English from day 1. So that is the video that you can go check out. Now, why is it important for you to start speaking from day 1? Because the more you delay in speaking English, the more you'll hesitate to speak it. If you start speaking from day 1, whatever you're learning, the vocabulary, maybe the grammar structure, any English, any component of English you're learning, you're listening to something. You'll be able to use it in your speaking because the end goal is to speak. We're talking about becoming fluent in English. That means you want to become a fluent English speaker. Speaking is a skill which comes with practice. So, if you don't start speaking from day 1, it's going to affect the way you speak. A lot of times people think, let us improve our vocabulary. Let us practice some more grammar rules. Let us listen for a month at least, and then we'll speak. Everything must go hand in hand. speaking and everything else in English at the other hand, and both the things, they must go side by side. That is something that you're supposed to do. So start speaking from day one. That's very important so that you can practice these mouth muscles. You can practice speaking in English. You can become fluent in English because through this practice over time, you'll become fluent. You cannot achieve it in one single day. For example, I'm just looking at some recipes. Let me give you an example like that. I'm watching the videos again and again. I'm looking at the recipe again and again. I'm reading it. And one day I'm thinking, I have done this a lot. Now let me prepare it. Would I be able to make something perfect in my first attempt? Obviously not. It would not come out as perfect. And that is what a lot of people think, that we are going to practice vocabulary for a month, then maybe grammar for another month, reading for another month, and then after that, we'll start speaking. When we'll think that we are really good at grammar, good at vocabulary, we know a lot of words, and the English would be perfect, this would not happen. All of the steps in the process are there. It's going to be there. So that day, one must be today, not after 2 months, not after 3 months. Number, that day one of speaking should be day one of learning English, of your learning journey. So start speaking from day one to become fluent in English. So step number 3 now. Step number 3 is again very important. That is the good English input. The good English input, that means a lot of times we need to put input. That is, language is something that often needs a particular model where we are receiving information and then producing. So, how do you learn your native language? By listening to that particular language a lot and then reading it. When you go to school, when kids go to school, they read the language a lot there. So, by listening and reading, we are taking input in a language, and through speaking and writing, we're producing the output. Now, in order to produce good output, that is, in order to speak fluent English, first of all, we have to listen to the language a lot. Listening is very important. It's the most important factor, the most important format of input, more important than reading. Why? Because you are listening to good models of pronunciation. The way a sound is made, it is produced, how a sentence is spoken, what is the rhythm, in which way. So you listen to good models of speaking. That is very important. From where do you get all these models? From movies, songs, web series, TV series, YouTube channels that are in English. So all these resources act as your listening resources. Apart from there, you also get to listen to a lot of academically curated stuff, especially designed for English language learners. So you can listen to that too. Good models of listening. Now, you need listening resources. You need to listen. Listening is very important because once you listen to something, you're able to catch on words, phrases, everything, the pronunciation. And when you listen to something again and again and again, it becomes a part of your subconscious mind. So, your subconscious mind stores it. And when you want to speak in English, you're able to retrieve that particular information because you know. Oh, you've heard that word there. When you go to learn your vocabulary, if you've listened to that particular word with context, you'll be able to learn it quickly. You'll be able to understand it and use it in a better way. Listening is very important. So, when you listen, only then you speak. Listening is important. So start listening from today. A lot of times, people neglect it altogether. They neglect listening. So listening is something that is extremely important. You need to listen to good English a lot. A lot. And if you're doing it, bravo. Whatever you're doing with it to learn English, it's going to yield more results. When you go to do your speaking practice, it'll give you better results because you're listening to good models of English and your subconscious mind is picking up on words, phrases, pronunciation, everything. It's like in your mind, you're creating an environment for yourself, a kind of English environment for yourself, a virtual environment through listening to English. And that is what we have to achieve. So, start listening. Good English input. Listening is very important. Now, coming to the second form of input, that is reading. Reading is important too. You need to read too because when you read, there is a kind of visualization to the words, spelling everything that you're doing. So, reading is important again. But I would suggest that you begin with listening and then move on to reading. First listen and then read. Step number 4. Now, step number 4 is speaking practice. You want to become fluent? Start your speaking practice. Speaking practice is extremely important because without practice, you will not become fluent in English. But what to practice? How to practice? The big question is, are you practicing in the right manner? Are you practicing in the correct way? Because you might be practicing a lot and you might not see the results. There is no direction to your practice. There is no particular goal to your practice. You're practicing the same thing again and again and again. And after some time, it becomes a vicious cycle where you're just ending up practicing just like that, and you are not able to see any results. Why is this happening? Because there is no particular aim, no particular direction, or no strategy to that practice. Now, what you're supposed to do in order to have a particular strategy, you must have a particular technique. For example, I've discussed the mirror talk technique with all of you. That is a practice technique. Mirror talk technique is a practice technique. So, are you taking a proper technique that is in the proper manner? That's very important. Are you taking up different techniques in order to practice your speaking skills? That is, again, a big factor. So, speaking practice is very important. You need to spare some time every day for your speaking practice. That is a must, something that you must do. Now, from where to get all these techniques and all that? I have so many lessons, video lessons. I have a particular lesson where I'm telling you about 12 different techniques to practice English speaking. 12 techniques to practice English speaking. Go check out the lesson. This lesson will tell you about so many techniques where you can take up a technique and practice English speaking. It's very important for you to practice English speaking. Now, Apart from this, I give you English speaking practice lessons. So, there are so many speaking lessons where you speak with me. You repeat after me. You shadow me. You do shadowing. There is a particular playlist where you can go check out all the lessons where I give you speaking practice. You do speaking practice under my guidance, and that is also very important, to do speaking practice under the guidance of a tutor, a teacher. And I've launched these free video series here on YouTube for you. Go check out the lessons, check out the particular playlist, and start practicing with me. So, speaking practice is very important. Work on your speaking practice. Speaking practice is not something that you just take up lightly, just like that. You need to work on it. Work, do your speaking practice, and see the result. Step number 5. Well, step number 5 is basic grammar. Now, grammar is something that a lot of people neglect. There are 2 types of people that I've seen. The first one, they want to just learn grammar and grammar and grammar. They focus too much on grammar, all the grammar rules and everything. The other one, they want to escape grammar. It's like, I want to speak fluent English, but I don't want to learn any grammar. This is not how it's going to work. Both of the examples are extremes. You are at the extreme ends of a particular string. You have to create a balance in the middle. You have heard the concept of the center of gravity, right? That's what we have to do. Create a balance. For that, you need to learn some basic English concepts that would help you perfect your sentence structures. I'm not saying that go learn all the complex grammar structures, the complex grammar rules and all that. That's fine. If you have no academic requirement for it, you're not appearing for some kind of academic exam where you are required to perfect your grammar extremely. If you're just learning it for your professional purposes, conversational purposes, just like an everyday usage kind of thing, you don't need very typical grammar structures, no. But basic grammar structures we all must learn in order to become fluent in English. Because when you know the basic grammar structure, the basic things, for example, do, does, did, that's the basic grammar. Simple basic grammar, a very simple concept. If you know this, you'll be able to form your sentence structure in a better way. If you know how to form your sentence structure, you'll be confident in yourself that, okay, I can do this. I can speak accurate English. That automatically increases your fluency. When you're not sure about grammar structure, you fumble a lot because you're not able to form a particular sentence. Then you fumble, you try to reframe it, and what happens is you end up fumbling with the words, a common problem that a lot of people tell me they face. So, if you focus on your basic grammar, you'll overcome these particular problems of forming sentences, correct sentences, accurate sentences, fluent sentences in English. Fluency will come to you with time if you learn basic grammar. Basic grammar is important. From where to learn that basic grammar? No worries. I have launched the Basic Grammar series where I take the basic grammar that is important for spoken English, totally focused on spoken English, not the written English. Although that's a part of written English too, these basic grammar series are focused on spoken English, the kind of grammar that you need to speak fluent and correct English, accurate English. So, go check out the playlist of basic grammar series. You'll get the lessons which are important for you to become fluent in the English language. So yes, grammar is important. A question that a lot of people ask is grammar important? Yes, grammar is important, but the basic grammar is important. A few concepts are there which are really important for you to cover if you want to speak fluent English. Okay, so now it's time for a bonus step. You can call it step number 6 or a bonus step. That is, you need to focus on all the 4 skills if you want to become fluent in the English language. All the 4 skills. See, there are 4 skills. I've already discussed the skills of input from where you receive information, right? The 4 skills are known as LSRW: listening, speaking, reading, writing. So you listen, you speak, you read, you write. These are 4 skills, kind of 4 pillars of any language in the world. So, if you're trying to master a language as a skill in order to speak it, you have to focus on this particular language as you would focus on a skill, not in a way you approach a subject kind of learning. No, you have to consider it as a skill, and this skill of speaking is supported by the other 3 pillars: listening, reading, writing. So, do not forget to pay equal attention to each and every pillar. Writing is also important. That's why I always suggest journal writing. You must have seen my video lessons on journal writing. Why do I suggest that to you? So that you can practice writing in some format. Even if you are at a place right now where you would not be required to write something academically, like writing skills are kind of secondary for you, speaking is primarily important. Still, writing from time to time improves your speaking. All the 4 skills support each other. They support each other. That's why focusing on all 4 of them is extremely important. So, improve your speaking, listen, read, and do not forget to practice writing from time to time, something that you must do. So, focus on all the 4 skills if you want to become fluent in the English language. Now, with this, we come to an end to the complete process of becoming fluent in English, from 0 to fluent. The complete guidance to become fluent in English, how to gain that fluency. So, this is your way. These 5 steps are your way to become absolutely fluent in English. If you follow all the 5 steps, it's a guarantee that you will become fluent in English, because these are the 5 pillars of becoming fluent in the English language. Something that I've given you today, a formula that is going to be an absolute game changer for you in becoming fluent in English speaking. You want to become a fluent English speaker? Follow everything that I've told you today in this lesson. Follow it, start practicing from today, and see the results. That's it for today. Now, I'm going to meet you again with a new lesson. Till then, everybody take care and bye.